We want to welcome you to our UAC Lunch and Learn. And this is part 2 of our Business Impact of Marketing series. And this is going to focus on marketing measurement and making sure it measures the impact of your business. I want to thank our sponsor, which is Proven Winners, Color Choice Flowering Shrubs. They have been the sponsor of all 3 of these in this series, as well as the 3 in the banking series that we've done as well. So we want to thank you. I just want to run a short video for Proven Winners, their Flowering Shrub of the Year. And then at the end of this webinar, there's a longer video that's a garden walkthrough that's just terrific. So I hope you will stay along to watch that as well. Once again, thank you to Proven Winners. And now for what you've all signed up for. Today we have Trip Jobe, who's the CEO of Rand Inc., and he will be talking to you about marketing. And without further ado.
Well, good morning, everybody. So I am Trip Jobe. I love this outdoor space. I actually spent about 3 years leading the national sales and marketing business for Oldcastle, for the Bellegarde business. So really enjoy having the opportunity to talk to you and hopefully give you some insights and thoughts. You know, from the first session, we talked about really what is marketing, what is advertising, some of the differences, as well as ways to think about it. And today we want to get into, marketing measurement and how it's helping your business. And we'll talk about different aspects of sales and marketing measurements. We'll talk about KPIs, vanity metrics as well, and what's the difference. And so when you're thinking about the type of measurements you get, make sure they're really helping you to drive your business. And then we're going to spend a fair amount of time. One of the areas that came up as questions last session was, how much should I spend on marketing? So we want to dive a little more into that since that was an area that kind of came up in the Q&A last time. So we'll do that and kind of close out and then have some examples. And number one, I'm a huge Peter Drucker fan, but one of his famous quotes was, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And so when you think about probably every aspect of your business, whether it's your operations, whether it's your sales, marketing and advertising are the same way. If you're not measuring it, you can't improve it. And I would say that, growing up in the marketing industry, sometimes many people say, well, we won this award. You had that gorgeous video you showed, Mary Kay, with the hydrangeas and all, and that could win awards, and that's fantastic. And a lot of times marketers will focus on, we won this award, we won this Addy. At the end of the day, if it's not helping your business, it's not as valuable. Doesn't mean it's not a part of brand awareness, which is important. But we want to make sure that what you're investing in your marketing is getting you results. So we want to talk a little bit about all of marketing. So we're not going to go into any specific detail, but many of you may have 1 or 2 firms out there. Some of them may work in certain areas. There's a lot of different areas of advertising and marketing that you can focus on. There's traditional advertising, which is media, radio, TV. TV and radio now are even, they've gotten more splintered and niched based. You've got traditional broadcast, and now you have programmatic. I mean, programmatic can be Hulu, where you can catch certain people on certain shows at certain times. Now you've got Pandora, iHeartRadio. There's more and more ways to look at media now versus traditional broadcast media. Then we still have print, and under print, there's a whole number of things. You can include direct mail in there, as well as even billboards and the like. And then, of course, social media and social advertising and influencers. Digital space has obviously become more hot and heavy, and there's search engine type marketing, there's email, and then of course social media. And then many of you may also use event or sponsorship, much like, again, the sponsorship for the UAC, or experiential programs. Maybe it's training days, it's certain days that I'm a big golfer, so I just got an email this week about fitting day for TaylorMade clubs at a local club. So those types of experiential marketing as well. So there's a lot of different areas that you may be focused on. And what we see happening a lot of times is, if you're using one or two vendors, is they will group into certain areas. And you may be getting reporting, which is still better than not getting measurements and reporting, but you may only be getting feedback on your advertising, or you may only be getting feedback on your website or on your other digital areas. And so that's one of the first kind of watch outs. And if you do work with multiple firms, how do you bring them together? How do you understand that you really need and want to understand how these different marketing areas work together? Because they do. And this is kind of a slide that gives you a sense of what happens when you silo or separate these metrics. So if you let social go off on its own and report, and then you have your media, your digital, or your marketing communications, each one of them is coming back and giving you a sense of, well, this is what is working. But is that really how it works in the business world? In most cases, a line measurement is more likely. That some of them may have a heavier weight, but there's really benefit if you've got a billboard out there. So say you're a plant nursery, you've got a billboard out on a busy highway. All right, that may, catch someone weekly, day after day. Well, then you may be out doing some social media type awareness events. And then finally, you might send a monthly newsletter or a weekly newsletter to someone. All right, that last touch may be what makes the final decision. But the reality is they've been seeing your brand. They've been thinking about, we need to upgrade our backyard. We need to put, I really love those hydrangeas. Let's think about that. And so that last touch is what starts it. In a very siloed marketing measurement system, you're only thinking about the touch that brings someone in. The reality is your marketing, if you're doing a couple of different areas, is probably overlaying very well. All right. And last time, Darren kind of went through the idea of the sales and marketing funnel and give you a sense of, at the top of the funnel are some of those awareness related channels or tactics. So again, think about the billboard, think about anything you're doing from a brand awareness perspective. It could be radio, it could be if you're doing some programmatic TV or print advertising. You're getting your name out there and getting that recognition. It's starting the process. You're creating interest, might be a magazine ad. Then as you work people through the funnel, the middle of the funnel, they're in that consideration and evaluation phase, right? This might be where they come to an event, right? They may see a little more of what you're doing. They may reach out. You may have a white paper. You may have videos online that people download and look and see, right? And then you get to the bottom of the funnel when they start to make that purchase intent. Maybe they finally fill out something on an email form. They want to know where to buy. They click on your email, or maybe even if you're using text to find more information or take a coupon or a discount or things like that. So different level of the funnel, there's different tactics for, but they all work together in bringing that customer in. There's probably very, very few businesses that you get a one touch and someone buys your product. I would say one of the few that would be there would be umbrellas in a very rainy day when you're on the road and don't have one. So, but this idea of attribution is, can be looked at in a few different ways. So there's 3 different models of attribution that are out there that try to help people understand what's the key area that's helping drive that final purchase. First is first touch attribution. So sometimes companies will, ask when someone calls in, how did you hear about us? And at first say, oh, I saw your billboard, or I got this email from you. Whatever it is, even if they don't buy at that point, if even they just put you onto a mailing list, they credit that very initial first touch for anything that comes out, any deal value for that customer. A lot easier, and a lot of customer or companies use, is last touch attribution. And so that is just the opposite. What's the final phase that someone sees, some tactic that leads them to making that decision? All right. The most complex and more challenging, but probably more accurate way is multi-touch attribution. And now with the advent of AI and other computer techniques and models, there's ways to assign through the life cycle of that potential customer turning into a customer. What are the different ways? What have you assigned someone to reaching out, and they see this billboard for weeks. They've gotten on our email list. They came to our seminar, and now they're buying. So there's a way to assign rankings and percentages on multi-touch. Does everyone need that? Absolutely not. I think the key message I'd like you to leave with is you want to have measurements that attribute your different forms of advertising and marketing to bringing customers in, and what that metric is. So any one of the three is better than not having any type of attribution. So go back to the idea of, let's don't look at awards. Let's don't look at, boy, this looks great, and get that qualitative feeling, which is important. But how do you tie in some of the success of your marketing investment in dollars into, what brings in customers for you? All right. As we get into the analytics side of things, hopefully that gives a reference for how you want to think about it. But analytics are all a frame of reference, much like, again, your operational analytics. So if you look at this list right here, 4 minutes, 10%, $100 a person, 95%, think in your mind, what could all these mean? All right. Is there anything that comes to mind for each of you right now? And does that mean anything if you're looking at your business? Now, if I were to complete this list and you look at it, wow, 4 minute mile, that's a pretty good number. All right. But then if I look over and say customer wait time, I'm guessing most of you would say, boy, if I've got customers waiting 4 minutes to get me, that's probably not a good number. All right. Similarly, 10% email open rate sounds pretty good. But as a shipping error rate, I don't think most of you would accept that in your business. And then there's some that you're really not sure because you don't have a scale or a frame of reference. 1,500 leads per month might be great for some of you, and others of you it might not be. Similar to new customers per month. Probably a good number for most, but maybe not, depending on, again, your business, how large you are, and what it means. So again, the first point is starting to measure it, and then you want to have a frame of reference. And so one of the things we like to talk about frame of reference is, you should have some goals. So where are you going? But also you want to start developing that history and that pattern. So we go back to the same numbers, and you think about, 4 minutes a year ago, now it's 2 minutes. A month ago, and now I'm at 1:40. So if that's my customer wait time, all right, I'm seeing improvement. It may not be where I want it to be. My goal might be 20-second customer wait time. All right. But you want to start developing these year-over-year, month-over-month framework within your marketing. And anyone that says, well, you won't get a real good feel of how our advertising is going to work. It's a long-term process. It's going to take 6 to 8 months. I would tell you, challenge them very hard. All right. You may not get to your goal in 2 or 3 months, but you need to be measuring the impact on a monthly basis, and you need to see the trends. All right. Similarly, if I look at the one that's fourth down, 95%. So let's just go back to say that's a quality rate as far as on-time delivery. All right. So a year ago, we're at 95%. A month ago, we were up to 97.8%. All right. So we've got trends going pretty well. The fact that, and just like in your business, it drops, all right, this month. Okay. Is that a panic? Is that something that I've done differently that I need to look at? All right. So again, there's no final answer, but you want to see that history and that pattern, all right? And so marketing can be fuzzy, but you need to start having that pattern of let's build the numbers, let's understand where we are. Hey, 1 month that drops in any metric, usually I don't get too worried about if it's a small drop. A second month, then I'm probably starting to look at taking action, right? Now, if I see a precipitous drop, in let's say it's email, my email open rates drop from 13% all of a sudden to 7%. Then I want to understand, what did I do last month that caused it? And I need to change that quickly, or I need to experiment. But the main thing is you want to keep looking at metrics over time. So here's our perspective, and we kind of divided this up into two areas. So one is your leadership. So the executive teams, maybe the head of marketing, if you've got a marketing leader in your organization. The other is then your doers, your marketing team. So I would guess that most people on this call, if you're in a leadership role, you're looking at your sales numbers daily or worst case weekly. All right. If there's anyone who doesn't, please speak up. But then you want to look at your marketing KPIs. And again, we'll get into KPIs in a minute, the difference between KPIs and metrics on a monthly basis. You really should be reviewing what your marketing team is doing or your vendors are doing for you on a monthly basis. All right. May or may not take action, but you want to see that pattern. Now, the metrics we'll get into are not as the critical, not moving your business forward. I used to say, hey, I'm going to take that to leadership once a quarter. If we have 40 metrics, they don't need to see all 40 metrics. Our team does every month, but I only need to take the top 10 or 12, the ones that are really driving the business, to the leadership every month. Similarly, if you have a marketing plan, update the progress, the status. And then there's the sales or your CRM metrics. I'm assuming those are also something that you're looking at on a monthly basis. Now, when you break it down into your vendor, your team, those things change a little bit. So sales, your team may not look at sales obviously on a daily basis, but you want to make sure, I always like my marketing teams to monthly at a minimum understand what was the impact in sales and can they see some of the benefits that they were doing. Their key metrics, their key KPIs, boy, they should be looking at those weekly as long as they're available. Every month, we looked at all of our marketing metrics. Again, we didn't necessarily react to all of them. And then I wanted to make sure that we're thinking about the key things on our plan every month. And then from the sales and CRM metrics, at a minimal quarterly, that marketing team should be looking at that and understanding. And some of the key ones there, and we'll talk with some examples, are leads and opportunities. And so a lot of times if you put your leads and opportunities into your CRM, marketing team needs to understand, are we building a backlog? Are we having more leads but less opportunities? Therefore, is there a quality issue? And that's why you want marketing to also look at the evaluation and effectiveness of some of those CRM metrics as well. All right. So, metrics and KPIs. I think this is a great, simple infographic. We actually put this out in our monthly newsletter that goes out this afternoon. And I really like the example of, all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. All right. And if you think of the two circles, the smaller, tighter circle is your KPIs. Those are your key performance indicators. And I like to think of that. These are the marketing metrics that are driving your business forward. And we'll show a few examples in a minute. Whereas other metrics, sometimes we refer to them as vanity metrics. They're good to have. A lot of times they make people feel good, but are they, and they need to be measured, but are they driving your business? Does the leadership team need to be aware of them? Are these the things that if you said tomorrow, I'll pick on Jesse a little bit. If Jesse says, hey, all of a sudden we've got another $5,000 we can spend here at the end of the year. You want them to be something that you're seeing that's driving your KPIs, not your vanity metrics, right? You want to put that extra few $1,000s you've got to spend toward things you know you're going to drive your business, not something that sounds like a nice idea, but no one is telling you what benefit you're going to get for that. Let's go back to the billboard example. You've got 3 billboards. You know they're doing okay, and someone says, hey, there's a billboard that came open on 316, facing out of town from Athens. Maybe we should grab it. Well, what benefit? What are you getting from your other billboards? Is that just an opportunity, or is that something you know that you're driving your business forward? So think about, again, KPIs are a smaller subset of marketing measurements that drive your business. Another way, again, another Peter Drucker quote is, management is doing things right. All right. And that's why we sometimes say vanity metrics aren't all bad. They sound bad sometimes, but they're doing things right. Are you growing in certain areas of your awareness or your leads? But ultimately, KPIs is what leadership is about, and that's doing the right things. And that's what you want your KPIs to show. So here's an example, and I'll kind of go through some of these. Obviously, it's a little bit of an eye chart, but all this will be available to you. And I talk about leads, all right? So leads, if you look at, we've grown our leads 50% from 1,000 to 1,500. That's a 50% growth. That should be a KPI. And in some cases, I would tell you lead growth could be if you know that the type of leads you create always lead to business. But I've been in business where I walked into one business where everyone said, boy, we're up 63% in our leads this year. And I said, wow, how did you do that? And the first answer was, we ran a contest in the spring, and we're running another one here in the fall to get people to sign up, come to the website and sign up. And we're giving away, X type of trip and things like that. I'm like, how many of these people were valuable leads, or were they just looking to get into the contest? Because what happened at times was those leads went through the CRM, sales team had to deal with them. They got an influx of leads. They couldn't get to them as quickly. And then, they really weren't worth anything. So what was the value of all the time that sales wasted in going through that 63% growth in leads? All right. Similar web visitors. You absolutely want to measure how many people are coming to your website, right? But again, why are you driving them there, right? If I look across to the KPI, now a change from a 1-minute average web visit to a 3-minute average web visit, to me, in most cases, is going to tell me not only am I driving someone to my website, I'm keeping them there. There's content, there's value that they're looking for. All right. We'll go down a little bit. Email open rate. And this is a good metric, and I wouldn't say in all cases it's just a vanity metric, depending on the size of your customer base as far as that you're sending email to. But click-through rate will tell you probably more about not only are they opening it, are they going to certain parts of your email? If you're a grower and you're putting out information as far as, what are some of the upcoming products to be thinking about, or certain services that you offer as we're going into the winter season soon enough. Click-through rate, I'd be pleased to see, a 30% increase in my click-through rate. Number of deals and cost per deal, all right? I think those are incredible KPIs. And a lot of times marketing goes, well, but that's sales. I don't deal with deals. And that's where I come back to, we need to make sure we're overlapping sales and marketing and think about the impact. All right. So I can have a cost per lead on the left-hand side, and I can drop that 20%. All right. Moving it from 10 to 8. But that could be because I just went out and bought a lot more leads. So the total number, and we've got this in the newsletter this month, I buy a lot more, my cost goes down to 8, but I didn't get any more leads or any more opportunities or deals. I might be willing to pay $15 a lead if I know that my cost per deal actually is going down and the quality is going up. All right. Similarly, on cost per click, it's a common measure as far as search engine marketing. And again, it's valuable, it's important. And some people say, hey, I reduced your cost per click by a penny. And I go, if you're driving the right people, that's fantastic. But I'm looking at my cost per acquisition. We had a client, I think we showcased one of the examples last month, Goss RV, and their cost per click had been declining because they were in the RV space. But what was happening was they were getting a lot of people clicking on to Goss RV that were really looking for budget RV type rentals, and they are very much more in the premium side. So they were paying every time they got that click. And the problem was, yes, their cost per click was going down, and they were getting all these leads, but then people were dropping out very quickly, right? So all of a sudden, we changed the focus on the type of RV travel, quit paying for just general RV vacations, and we got fewer clicks, but we had a higher click-through rate, more opportunities, more deals, and actually it was more effective for their audience. Obviously, these are all different types of measurements and KPIs. I wanted to show some from different areas. One I'll hit on real quick that was also kind of one of my pet peeves was trade show attendees. And I'm not opposed to trade shows, and we'll see how things come back next year. But I used to get a lot of times, we increased our trade show attendees, let's say here from 200 to 300. And I would go, how many different companies are in those numbers? And all of a sudden you go, well, let's see, a year ago there were 40, and this time there were 45. All right, we grew, but we all know what it's like. You get someone in, you're giving away little goodies, and you get 5 sales reps from company X, and they all sign up, and everyone feels great. Well, we got 5. No, you got 1 new lead. All right, the reality is you got that one company that came in. So when you think about setting up KPIs and metrics, the first place to start are your business goals. I think you heard Darren and I talk about last time, marketing needs to align to your business. Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to grow your business? Are you trying to grow your current customer base? Or are you just holding your current customer base and trying to grow new customers? Are you trying to grow into new geographies? All these things need to be the key point to setting up your marketing KPIs, because marketing KPIs should be, driving toward your business growth. If you told me that you wanted to grow into new geographies, then I'm going to have KPIs that are going to really be focused on bringing in new customers, expanding maybe our territory growth. All right. So if you get, let's say on your email distribution, you can track, the zip codes and the geography of where your emails are coming in from. If you get that customer information, I might even develop a way that a metric, I want to see how much email growth do I get outside of Fulton County. If I'm primarily Fulton County and I'm trying to expand into Cobb County and Paulding County, those type of things. So again, tie them into what you really want to accomplish in your business first, right? Then think about, how do your customers engage with you? Some of you are in a very short sales cycle. Some of you are in a long sales cycle, all right? Do you convert a high percentage of your leads? So let's go back. If you are a referral business. Okay, you've always felt you've been highly referral based, but you know you've got to bring some advertising in, and you convert 75-80% of those referrals. Then bringing more leads in probably is a good KPI for you, right? But if you're not in that high percentage of converting your leads are just one way to have a metric. All right. And then finally, what's your, competitive positioning? All right. Think about, are you number one, number three in a marketplace? We're working with a client right now in the heating and air space, and they're number one in certain parts of Atlanta. All right. And they're number 4 or 5 in other parts. And so one of the things that we're looking at for them is there's certain areas of town, they're probably never going to be in the top 5. So let's don't spend and focus, our efforts and the metrics on those parts of town. Let's focus on the areas that maybe there are 3 or 4, they'd like to be 1 or 2. And then let's develop some metrics and programs around that part of the Atlanta metro area. All right. And then think about what your customers value. All right. Are you a brand leader? Are you a new brand? Those things will also help you develop and decide what type of things you want to create for your metrics. All right, so as I said, we'll spend a good bit of time here on how much should I spend on marketing. We gave you a general rule that kind of came up of 10 to 15% last session, and we want to go into that a little bit more and talk about some of the ways that that's a range, that's a starting point, and how you need to look at it, because each of your businesses is going to be different. All right, so we used this slide last time, and I'll focus on, much like that last slide of what are your competitors doing. Think about your competition. So the stronger your competition is, more to the right, the more you may have to spend. Now, it does not mean you just want to be flooding dollars out there and unwisely, but if you've got strong competition, you're going to be needing to get through to customers. Now, as your brand awareness grows, you don't have to spend as much. And the chart on the right was a case of, as brand awareness grows, that top line, my spending actually can go down. And then the line that's at the bottom on the left moves its way up, because over time, all those efforts are helping to build more momentum, more awareness. And the fact that you've built that over time is you're not going to have to spend as much to keep it. Now, this came from the SBA, and this is their view, which, again, I think is one way to look at it. If you're a new company, all right, the first year and a half maybe, they really talk about the fact you're going to have to build an awareness in the marketplace, and 12 to 20% of your gross revenue is typically a good range for new companies. Now, once you get past that first or second, season, 6 to 12% is what you would look at. Now, how does that compare to 10 to 15% that we talked about? Again, every business is different. The other thing I will say, I'm pretty sure that this SBA document does not capture the cost of anyone you've got from headcount related to marketing. As Darren and I look at it, we look at all costs. When we say 10 to 15%, we're thinking about if you have someone devoted on your team to marketing or multiple people, we put that in as well, because you're investing resources. It's not just the direct outlays, but that gives you just a different perspective. Here's another way to look at it. Okay, so some of you may be in the services. Some of you may be selling to distributors. In some cases, there's two-step dealers. I dealt a lot in some of the areas where Oldcastle is a manufacturer. We'd have a distributor. There might be a specialty dealer as well. Then it went to a contractor and an end user. So if we're looking at those number of steps to get to the end user, and I'm thinking about that general 10 to 15%, that does not mean the manufacturer is all of a sudden doing 10 or 15% of your marketing and advertising. I will tell you that's not what we did at Oldcastle. We were by the time you added employees and resources and all that, we were probably more in the 7 to 8%, but our distributors might be putting a little bit in. A specialty dealer would have a couple of percent. And then contractors typically would have a few percent as well. So by the time you get to the end user, so the total cost of the product, it's getting up into that 10, 15%. Another way that some manufacturers do it is they'll say, all right, we're going to do 5% direct advertising, all right, on our end. And then we're going to offer co-op programs. So we're going to offer co-ops to our dealers and distributors, and it's going to be 1-to-1. So we're willing to spend 8%, but we're going to do 5% ourselves and have a 3% co-op fund, right? So then what they get for that extra 3% is then the dealers adding another percent or two, maybe the distributor adding percent, and they get to 11 by only putting out 8, but they have that co-op fund. So again, think about the entire channel. Now, if you're an M&M Mars, if you're the movie producers, or if you're automobile manufacturers, you think about all the TV ads and everything else. There's really, you're going to a retailer. That's when you see companies that are truly in that 10 to 12% direct, because they're the ones trying to catch the end user directly. Some other things to consider in this range, again, technology companies. So I know that doesn't apply as much to this group here, but nowadays many technology companies, they don't put as much into sales teams and to other product and the like, and they spend a ton of money. In some cases, that means the email barrages you're getting, the webinar links, the social media, you name it. But a lot of technology companies now in their early stages are spending, huge amounts of dollars as far as a percentage of their company revenues. The other would be, think about whether you're a premium priced or a commodity priced, okay? If you have a price premium in the market of 8 to 10%, all right, how important is it to make sure you're getting that message across, okay? And to say, all right, I'm willing to spend another percent and a half to show all the quality that I'm doing in order to maintain why you want to come to me, all right? Why do you want to come to Jim Lanier and his environmental business? Because there's thought leadership, there's brand awareness, there might be others that are out there that have a commodity offering, but he is your expert. He's going to present, and yes, it might cost you a couple percent, and you're willing to showcase that in your marketing and advertising. All right. And then we talked a little bit about it, but life cycle, again, early stage, think about the fact that you're going to spend a little bit more to get your name out, to get that awareness, all right? And that, it can be 15 to 20%. Now, some of that is also the fact that your revenues are lower, okay? And as you go on through your life cycle and you build scale, obviously by the time, companies get to 100 million or more, unless they're consumer products companies, they're not going to be spending that same percent. I would say even companies that start to get above 20, 25 million, they start to look at, all right, can I spend a little bit less in percentage terms, but maybe still the dollar numbers are there. It just declines as an overall percentage as you build the size of that business. So here's next two slides are a couple of ways to think about when you are doing your budgets, if you're looking at it. The typical way, and a typical, you may have companies come back to you and say, all right, well, we see you're going to spend, let's just say, $5,000 a month next year. And we're going to put X percent into website, X percent into your online SEO efforts. Advertising is going to be 15%, public relations 10%, and we'll do 5% on events. That's how most companies look at it. And I would tell you that that is the secondary way to look at things. One of the things that we've always encouraged, and I've done in my life at Kimberly-Clark and Oldcastle, is on the right, think about, again, your business. All right. I need to grow my brand. All right. I need to protect my brand. I'm putting 35% toward all my efforts toward my overall brand name. All right. New products. I'm going to launch 3 new products next year. I need to make sure that 15% of my marketing budget next year is devoted to those new products. I want to go into that I want to go up the 85 corridor. All right. So I'm putting 25% of my budget into launching our existing products to those customers in the Gwinnett, Hall County kind of corridor. Right. And then I go into existing customers and then test and learn. If you take this effort and align it with your business on the right, and then whoever's working, whether it's internal teams, external vendors, and tell them this is what I want to make sure we do, they can develop that. All right, we'll put this much into website, this much into advertising, this much into events. But you see the difference of starting to the right with where your business will go versus starting to the left of the tactics, right? And most people will start with the tactics first, and you really need to start with what you need to get out of your business. Another way to look at this, classic 2x2, is think about new customers and existing customers. Think about core brands and services. There's actually 2 slides. One of these is, every year I would look at how much of our growth or decline, if I was in markets that might see a decline, would come out of these 4 categories. Once I knew, and the sales team, we talked about, all right, we're going for overall 5% growth, and 3 of that 5% are coming from new customers, and only 2 of the 5% are coming from existing customers. Then I can look at our marketing and shift and making sure that I'm properly funding, marketing efforts to drive new customers. So these numbers don't mean, they're just in here to show as an example. But again, that thought process of what you want to drive, where you want to grow, and then let your marketing be set up to drive those efforts. All right. So just kind of to wrap it up on a few things as far as all that. Again, think about your marketing budgets, think about your metrics, and bringing the entire team together and making sure that they're not siloed, that what you're doing is supporting sales, supporting operations, and supporting your overall, growth metrics. So I love marketing, always have. The thing I don't like about marketing is when it wants to, sit off to the side and live in its own world. And, it really is a key part of growing your business, but bring it in to your business. So a couple examples I'll show real quick. These are just some ideas. This is one of our clients. Now, I've talked a little bit about how you have to be careful about leads. In this case, obviously, this is a large client. Leads are important. You see total leads by month, okay, on the upper left, right? But the key things for us is, all right, leads are great, but the top right is leads by source type. So where are they coming from? Are they coming from webinars? Are they coming from the website? Are they coming from specific campaigns? All right, then we can look at them by region on the bottom, and then we can look at them by product category. So on the bottom right, we can see if it's multifunction, whether it's printers, whether it's scanners, you name it. And that gives more information than just total leads per month for this business. Now, in this case, I'm always focused with this client more on their opportunities, all right? Because that's really where they're, driving things. And on the top right, percentage of leads converted to opportunities. You got a couple months that are spikes. All right, what happened those months? Why did all of a sudden we see double-digit type conversion rates versus, high single digits in most other months? What can they do better? On the bottom left, total wins percentages, all right? And, where those win percentages came from. But those are the type of things as far as how you can look at representing some of your leads. And these are just a few examples we do for clients as well. So in summary, you can't improve what you don't measure. All right. And I think that's tremendously critical. And think about, as far as your operations team, would you have different types of metrics and measurements, or would you want ones that are tied into your business, right? So you really want to focus on the metrics that pertain to your business growth. Look at those monthly from a leadership perspective. All the other metrics are great, but you probably want to look at those less frequently. You let your marketing teams or your marketing vendors do that, right? Again, general rule of thumb, that 10 to 15%, and that does include your headcount resources. And again, where are you in both life cycle? Where are you in, the channel to market? But that's a general view that is a pretty good rule, all right? And then last and most important, make sure that that budget aligns with your business plan. So if you have a strong business plan, if you set budgets that align with that, as well as KPIs that align with that, so you're tracking and seeing how you're doing, you got to believe you're going to be very successful. And you're going to be pleased with marketing investments you make, not sitting there going, why am I spending this money? I'm not sure what I'm getting for this billboard, or I'm not sure what I'm getting for this webinar or this email tactic, or someone wants to put me on TikTok, you name it. If you bring all those things together, I think you're going to be very pleased with the effectiveness of marketing. All right. So hopefully this was very helpful for everybody. We do have one more session next month, and we'll talk a little bit about marketing traps and how to avoid them. Also, I will challenge everyone, Mary Kay, to think about if they have questions in what they're doing at the current time and wonder, does this make sense or not, to bring those questions with them next month. And we'll try to engage and answer those type of things. And we'll just give examples as well of, things that people sometimes fall into that they could be, able to not fall into those pit holes. So I know a couple of you did sign up. We do have a monthly newsletter we put out. It goes out this afternoon, and you can find it on our website, and always available to answer any questions that anyone may have at any point in time.
Trip, that was great. So much information. Great stuff. I know I'm looking forward to reviewing your PowerPoint again and the video we make of that we'll also put on our website and put out through our social media. Thank our sponsor, again, Proven Winners. And if you're welcome to please stay online and watch the short video.
Hi, this is Jane from Proven Winners Color Choice. And today I'm really excited to introduce you to my friend, Andrea Wilson-Mueller. Andrea and her husband Michael co-own Inside Out Landscape Design, which is in Frankfort, Kentucky. Now, Frankfort, Kentucky is a really awesome place to go visit. I highly recommend it. If for no other reason, if you like bourbon, there are a lot of really cool distilleries. You'll have a lot of fun. There's also some really good plants and some really good plants people like Andrea and her husband. If you need to know the nitty-gritty, Frankfort is a USDA Zone 6B, and they get about 46 inches of rain a year. So Andrea is a big fan of native plants. So today she's going to show us a garden that she did that features a lot of our native plants, native to North America. So this is a landscape that is at a house that's in really a pretty swanky subdivision. It's a situation that needed a more traditional landscape aesthetic. Probably something really crazy like a complete meadow garden might not fly in this neighborhood. So she's done an awesome job of taking some native species and using them in a very traditional landscape setting. And I think you're really going to like the results, and you're really going to enjoy hearing Andrea explain why she's chosen the plants she did.
I'm Andrea Wilson-Mueller, APLD of Inside Out Design in Frankfort, Kentucky. We are standing in the Native Oasis Garden in the west end of Frankfort, and the whole idea and premise behind this garden and all of the phases that it included were to include as many native species as possible for pollinators, bees, butterflies, and host plants, nectar sources, wildlife habitat, and providing shelter, food, and water for those creatures. So we've included many proven winners in this garden and also included many straight native species as well. In the foreground you can see beard tongue, and then behind those we have the little lime hydrangeas, which provide a really nice pop of color and are used throughout to tie the design together with some continuity. So at the mailbox here, and then as well as at the entrance of the house, we have little lime hydrangea. We also have Arctic Fire red twig dogwood, which I love for the winter red stems to provide some winter interest. And for the natives, we have some, of course these are native too, but we also have sweet coneflower, which I love the more unique bloom on that. And then baby Jobe weed, also a proven winners. And then we also have mountain mint, which is a wonderful pollinator magnet. And you can see all of the bees, wasps, and moths and butterflies swarming that. And then aster for late fall color. And then we also have some itea, spice bush, and weeping hemlock, winterberry holly, and also the male pollinator for the winterberry holly.